Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me, and hopefully Ken will be here momentarily. I'm so excited to do this presentation with my new friend, Ken Lowe. Found him through personal branding, so I think this is even better. There he is. I knew he'd be back. Just saying hello to everyone, Ken, just waiting for you so we can introduce ourselves. So excited about this
Hello.
today. Hello.
Hi, Andrea. Hi, everybody.
So I am Andrea Miller. I'm a LinkedIn top voice. I'm a global leadership coach and also an HR consultant. And most importantly for this, I am a recovering technophobe, and people like Ken help me get over my issues and help me use the technology better. So I'm super excited to share this today.
Yeah, it's amazing, Andreas. I'm so glad, we had met. I think we came across each other at different communities. Maybe Justin Welsh, creator MBA, could be a couple other cohorts that we paid into while we were taking on this creator economy. And my buddy Victor, who is going to be co-authoring a Maven course. We're going to be dropping it in about a month or so.
Can't
You
wait
just
for
say
that,
hi.
Ken. Hey, Victor. Sorry, Ken.
Yeah. So my name is Kenneth Lowe, dialing in from San Francisco. I got a brand new hairdo because I'm recovering from cancer. I'm in the middle of radio chemo spa or therapy, but it's not killing me, so it's making me stronger. So I'm still up and about and doing this kind of stuff, and it's really fun. And there's no better partner than you know, uh, Andrea. Andrea has been great. Just we've been talking about AI, talking about how to use it, how to enrich our personal and professional life. So it's been a blast.
It really has. And hey, Olga from San Diego. Well, good to see you. Another person who I work with. Wonderful person. Yeah, and so we're really just having fun with all this stuff, and that's part of the point of this today too, is to kind of get over the pain that a lot of people associate with AI, and for us to talk about the whys of this, and also how to simplify it so it's not so painful for folks.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Ken? Any place you want to go with this, or should I just because I can talk, I can talk.
Yeah. I mean, like this is such a big topic. I mean, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of macros. I like to call them the macro stuff that you can really quite control. The interest rate, whatever is happening, wherever you are in the globe. But also, I think the AI developments the past, 24 months, 18 months or so have definitely shaken the world. So I would think of it as like if you don't use electricity today, that is just like if you're not using AI. I'm not saying it's gonna, be bad or good for anybody, but I think like it's just being aware of it, getting a knowledge and being able to master it. I think it's definitely going to be a skill set. Whether you are fully employed, where you're looking for a different job, you're looking for different career moves. I think like having that is just such an essential skill.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Ken and I were talking earlier about, the recent Microsoft LinkedIn report and how companies, they won't even hire people without, AI on their resume these days. So it's just something that's important to have, but it also positions you. I think that's the other piece that, no matter where you are in the company, it positions you in a good place because a lot of companies, they know they need to use AI. They're spending a lot of money on consultants telling them how to use AI, but they want people in their own companies who can use AI. So, part of this whole thing with personal branding today is branding yourselves as maybe not AI expert, but at least AI savvy to have that digital fluency. And by demonstrating that you know how to use this technology, it just puts you ahead of everyone else. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, I can't agree more, Andrea. So the clip that you sent me like late last night, it was the guy saying, "Well, the past 12 months or so, all the big consultancy like the Boston Consulting, McKinsey's, and, the big fours of the world, they are all getting engagements, because of this business organization. They say, well, what do we do with AI? And, those white glove services, which I used to be part of, very good at delivering white glove services, white papers and studies and statistics and infographics, very, very informative. But then when it comes down to implementation, I think the next phase of the next, 18 months, 24 months or so will be like, okay, now how are we going to go about it? I think like, that's why we decided to have this talk is like, well, let's talk about it at a more tactical, operational level. Like, how do we really use it to benefit myself? What's in it for me at this moment? I don't want to wait 24 months. I don't know, be around in 24 months.
Well, and I think that, you can't wait. I mean, the reality is now is such a great time to start using this. There's been so much hype, and everyone thinks everyone else is using it, but they're not if you really dig down into the data. So if you're the one who's demonstrating your ability to use it, which we'll get into shortly, then, you're going to be the person who stands out in your organization. It just gives you a chance to raise your own visibility internally, and then also protect yourself, because it is going to be a bumpy ride, without question. I'm not quite as optimistic as some that AI isn't going to be taking a lot of jobs, but if you're somebody who knows how to use it, it may take your previous job, but that doesn't mean you won't be able to get an even better job if you're using it. But if you wait, and
Yeah.
again, I stayed so far away from technology before this that I just couldn't use certain things, and I didn't want that to be the case. So I really
Mhm.
just jumped in and went headfirst into AI and made myself a little crazy. And then I found people like Ken who just do a great job of simplifying it. Um,
Yeah. So by the way, so this event is streamed live on LinkedIn, and I also, because Andrea's got this professional StreamYard account,
Woohoo!
I'm also multi-casting it. It sounds sophisticated. It's just like I'm also simultaneously casting it to YouTube. First time ever. So you should be able to find those links. But the best thing is you can comment. You guys can ask questions, interact with us, throw tomatoes. Well, we're at a safe
No
distance.
tomatoes.
So
No, no, no tomatoes.
yeah, it's pretty much at a safe virtual distance. So, but
Yeah.
like this is as much of an investment for you guys. So let's make sure that this addresses your questions. Whatever you guys have in mind. Let's go about it that way.
I think that that's great because normally, it's so great to do this with Ken because, I might have the account, but he has the knowledge on how to use the all these equipment and really make it more interactive. And that's really what's been missing, I think, when I do LinkedIn live presentations. We want to hear from you. We want this to be valuable for you. So don't be shy. I mean, there
Yeah.
is really, in this case, I think no such thing as a dumb question. Again, I can't emphasize enough how little I knew about technology before getting involved in AI, and the barrier to entry is so low. But that said, it can be super overwhelming, which is why, again, I look for people like Ken who find ways to simplify it and also tell you which technologies are most useful for what you want to be doing. Because, I mean, every day there's some new AI-based tech out there. So you really want to know what the best tech is for you and not waste a lot of time. That's part of why we're here today, to try to reduce the amount of time, for you to create this personal brand. So it's not just you trying everything and saying, I can't do it.
Amazing, amazing. Let's get it rolling. So,
Okay.
why don't we start off by talking why is it important to do personal branding in this AI era? Because Andrea, I think you posted that existentialist that question, the philosophical question. Is like, wow, that's such a good question. Why don't we start with that, and then we can start going down. Like, well, we know we have a need. How do we go about it?
Yeah, Ken and I were talking about this, and there's a lot of different levels when it comes to our careers and where we're at with that. So I know there's some people here who, may be in a position where they feel strong, but, in terms of their jobs, but again, things are changing so quickly. And if you're new in your career, you really, you want to be able to demonstrate what you are able to do. You want to really, if you have goals, if there are things that you really want to accomplish, you want to drive the narrative. So when you create a strong personal brand, you're just showing what you're capable of. And you're letting people know what they can expect from you. And it's not just, and I know for a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who imposter syndrome is a big thing. Well, there are easy ways to demonstrate your capabilities with your personal brand that don't require a lot of visibility necessarily, even though I tell you, I never would have thought I'd be on a video, let alone on a video with some stranger in San Francisco talking about this stuff. But it allows you to control that narrative and to position yourself the way you want to be seen. And in an uncertain environment, which this is, I mean, make no mistakes, things are quiet right now, but it's going to pick up now that companies have spent billions of dollars on the big consultancies. They want to implement. So that could mean, restructurings, other reorgs, which everybody's gone through, I'm sure, several. And if you really are demonstrating, what you can do, who you can do it for as part of your personal brand, then you won't be out of a job, or at least not, you may be out of the job you're currently in, but you'll be someplace else and you'll be deciding what that looks like. So that's just like a quick
Yeah,
thinking overview, Ken. But
that's such a good mental framework, Andrea. And I think, like, extending that is that, well, uh, now that we know that we needed to do it, is a necessity. Let's talk about one of the many ways, because it's like all roads lead to Rome. There's so many ways to go about something, and we're not sponsored by LinkedIn or Facebook anybody yet. But I would like
we're
to
open to it, but not yet.
very open
No.
to it. Yeah, but I would like to just throw around some mental framework or blueprint, if you will. So I'm going to start like presenting some quick visuals, because that's the effort that I have invested. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. It's a very quick infographics that the white glove services like to let it do. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And it's going to
Is
be,
it letting you?
yes. So
Awesome. Here we go. There we go.
okay, did you see this one 5-step framework? No.
Yeah, I can see it. I can, oops.
Oh, it's not
Oh,
looking very pretty. Okay, hang
what
on,
happened there?
hang on. Sharing the screen, sharing the window. Good. Okay. So I think has to
Okay,
be
here we go.
great. Look at that.
Yeah,
Simple and neutral toned. Okay. So um I think there's a lot of digital noises there. There's a lot of people selling you snake oil, which is, it's okay if you're into supplement. But what I'm trying to do is to really simplify this. So if you think about, okay, I know I need to do some personal branding in case I need to branch off, in case I get laid off, in case I'm looking for a promotion. I think it's really good to start doing it right away. And there's so many ways to go about it. I think like using social media is a no-brainer, right? But out there, they're like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff. I think that if you're starting off, you think about professional careers, LinkedIn is a very good
yeah,
starting point. So what I have laid out is a very simple mental framework. Okay, so first, riches in the niches. Okay, don't think about, oh, I want to write about technology. Oh my lord, what are you going to write about? Database? Are you going to write about Excel? Are you going to write about crypto? Are you writing about fintech? I mean, that's just so bored. Don't don't do that. Just narrow down to one niche. Don't worry about like, oh, I want to write about uh, how to write knitting, knitting using AI technologies. I mean, guess what? If you're able to create content, people will find you. The internet is so vast, but yet people will be able to find you. I'll give you a quick example. I was pretty bored. I wasn't able to even take a walk the past, couple of weeks. So I got myself a skateboard. And then I would say, well, let me look at YouTube to see how I can find some stuff. And there was one channel, one guy, he's been talking about skateboard for 10 years. He got millions of views. Say, how niche is that? And he's only talking about one type of skateboards from Australia called penny. So
Hmm.
you must niche that. When you try to, unless you have a huge production content team
Yeah.
like Alex Hamasi or something like that, there's no way for you to kind of get a name out. So find your niche and dominate it.
And related to that, Ken, just going back to what I said before, most of these people have a field, an area that they are strong in. So you really also want to be clear what your goal is, what you can give them. So that niche is really what you do so well. What are you so good as, what is it? Cal Newport talks about that they can't ignore you. So, you don't want to go broad. You want to go narrow so people really know that Ken, he's the guy I go to when I want to know about how to use AI for my career branding
That
and so
that's
many
a,
other things. I don't want to niche you just yet.
no, but like when I'm thinking about like healthcare policies,
Yeah.
AI, visionaries, I think of you, right? I mean, that's the branding that you have been nurturing the past
The
year or so, and that's your
patient
top voice.
experience. Yeah. You and I both have that unfortunate experience of spending way too much time in hospitals. So, but, we want people to know us for what we do. We want people to understand that they can go to us for this particular thing. And that's what they can count on us. If they, find our work, they will be able to see, we'll be demonstrating that, we are experts in this thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, and before we move on to move away from step one, it's going to be an iterative process. You can't just wake up one night and say, "Oh, I'm going to be in this niche." Take some time, take some experimentation, take some risk. This is a branding thing. I mean, like it's not like, "Oh, I'm going to be branded like a kettle forever, permanently," right? So, play around with it, triangulate, experiment. All right, cool. So let's move on to step two, which is, I would say, is the meat, but it's
Mm,
also very tactical. It's very volatile. Why? Because yes, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, you can use Gemini, you can use Copilot, you can use all of those tools to create content, to craft your story and outline all the stuff. All that, I guarantee you, is going to be changing within the next 3 6 months. So don't worry about it. Just know there's a tool, there's a path for you to get there. But I do want to talk about some tools that are less known that I think for us is more of a purpose built. For example, I'm into bicycling. I've been racing bicycle ever since I was a little kid, and uh, somebody gave me a Swiss Army knife, and they said, "Well, you can fix a bike pretty darn well with a 64 way thick Swiss Army knife, but there are places you can't get to because it's so bulky." So make sure that you find a tool that's the best, and we would love to talk a little bit more. We'll do a little quick demo to show you some tools that I use on a day-to-day basis that are not as well known, but it's very specific, very quick to get from point A to point B.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the ways I got to know you, Ken. I mean, you did that great gamma presentation, and you can do these things in like seconds in some cases. I mean, it's really just mind blowing, and I hadn't heard of it. So it's so helpful to find people who actually know which tools to use.
Yeah, so the I think we're gonna show some, maybe some resources so people can find some
Right.
older videos. They can see like how to use. It's funny, the gamma presentation. There was the earlier ones, and because I was looking at the metrics, looking at the analytics, people were craving for PowerPoint. Like
Hmm.
I think it's, it's in the proof is in the pudding. People don't like making PowerPoint. It's kind of boring. People don't like sitting through them. So they want to consume it as quickly as possible. So that's a way for you to kind of minimize that pain. So
Yeah. But
we'll
that's
save that.
actually
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a great point what you just said too, is that, you got the data around it. You knew what people were looking for. And going back to the niche piece too, you really want to find that overlap, that Venn diagram overlap about what you do well and what people want. So, to do the data search is so critical too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I love to kind of ask, I don't know how many people are in the audience, but like, how many people are actually using AI, Gen AI, or any kind of AI tools to help with some kind of content creation, storytelling, email? Like, I would love to hear from the audience, and I would love to see how satisfied you are. Love to get some feedback from the real world.
Yeah, that would be awesome if people just wouldn't mind sharing with us what you're using, what you like, what you don't like. Ken might even have some other ideas of what might help. So,
Wow, we got a question for Olga. uh, Uh, Don, is everything we're learning changing in 6 months? What's the recommendation for the non-experts here? Try to amplify the business with new tools. Uh, I quote Bruce Lee: "Be like water, just float with it." I would say that AI wouldn't be a thing, wouldn't be a buzzword. It's just baked into everything. It would bake into your, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to Amazon, everything will be kind of AI. You just don't know what it is. It's just going to be integrated. So I think the best thing is to, as a consumer, uh, do a 20/80 rules. Know the basics so you know how to adapt and float with it. Because I guarantee you, this is one of those times like when internet first came around in the 2000s or in the 90s. It was like, oh great. It's like, what are we gonna do? AOL, dial up and all that stuff. Great. So we got some comment. Are you scammer? Not.
oh, sorry, let me go back.
Oops.
Sorry,
It's
Ken.
okay. Yeah. Use
I'm new at the
gamer. My
comment
impression.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Andrea, I know you use Gamma. Like,
Yeah, and I get that because I've had some levels of frustration, but I also use it in another way. I also use it as a way to think through things. So, I do a data dump of some sort of topic that I'm interested in, and I let Gamma run a presentation for me to give me
mm,
some ideas, in terms of how I can use it,
hmm
maybe for an article or maybe for a better presentation. But I get it. I mean, I ask for a certain number of slides. It doesn't give me that. I have to tweak things, but again, nobody wants to have death by PowerPoint either. So,
yeah,
I use my PowerPoints more to keep me on
hmm
message more than to actually use them and
yeah,
just more or less chat about these things.
yeah. And I think that's as a great point. I would think I would like to urge all of us to think of it that way. You got yourself a highly credentialed intern, highly trained, highly educated from Ivy League, whatever it is,
Yeah, you and I have
but
different thoughts on this. Go on, Ken.
a little greened, a
Yeah, yeah,
little lack of
very, yeah,
experience, field experience. Like, I'm not saying like, we are salty or seasoned or whatever you want to call us, right? But we have certain expectations and life experiences to draw from. So
yeah,
this is exactly like how you should be treating AI. It
yeah.
gives you a boost, it accelerates your process, it gets you there quicker, 20, 30, 40% quicker. But at the end, you're going to have to scrutinize the content a little bit. If you think of that as a framework and how you approach AI, I think you have a much better time the next 6 months and until general AI comes around and replaces whatever.
All of us. But to go back from where we started, one of the things I like to talk about too, and I can't remember where I read it, is that it's that double helix. It's, you have your industry knowledge, you have your expertise, and you want AI on top of that to kind of turbocharge you. Because I call it actually the smartest idiot I know. I mean, it
Mm,
knows everything, but it doesn't know what to do with it. So
Yeah.
we have to tell it what to do with it, and we have to really, as you said, scrutinize it and really, make sure we're
Mhm.
getting the kind of content that we want to represent us. Again, part of that personal brand. You don't want to just put it in AI and say, okay, done. You want to put it in AI, make sure it gives you more time to really create a better product, and then
Yeah.
put it out there. So,
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Great. Well, so
okay.
I think we kind of cover, we give a little teaser, and I would actually like to talk about a quick process too. I'm going to go into the step two to create a piece of content using the LinkedIn
Mm.
collaborative articles. We got some stories about that, but I think it's a good starting point for many of us just taking on this journey. Okay. All right. There's another question from Victor.
I know he's
Another
just saying
method.
he creates
Yeah.
his custom GPTs, which
Ah,
they're kind of a mixed bag too. Create your personal agent. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you really have to make sure you're giving the right, all of this is, data in, data out. You got to give it the right framework to work from to get a good GPT, custom GPT. But I'd love to
yeah.
hear your thoughts, Ken.
So it's funny. We actually have an email course. We'll make sure that you guys are available. You can sign up. It's freely available. You get drip 5 days of content, and then every day you get a quick lesson how to define your knowledge base. And so, for example, if I got a lot of writings and blog, I can actually collect that and feed that into something called custom GPT. So instead of OpenAI going out to People Magazine and Reddit and whatever
Their
resources
data
they have
says, yeah.
indexed. uh, it will be just limited to my knowledge. So it will sound like you. It will reflect your life experience a little bit, but undeniably, there's still something called AI hallucination. It will still make up facts. It will pretend that, oh, it's funny. I think if you do a test, it's like, what is today's date? Which is definitive, is black and white. It doesn't get it right the first time. So I would say that, again, highly trained intern that's very creative and it's very poetic at times.
Hmm.
But if you want it to be 100% scientific and factual, I would still combine that with that human touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
So where do
Yeah.
we go from here, Ken?
Well, let's move on to engage a little bit. Let's move fly through this flywheel a little bit so that we can spend some time on the meat. Uh, yeah, yeah. So, the
Yeah.
engage part. Okay.
Yeah.
So you being a legitimate blue badge top voice,
Woohoo! Yeah.
tell us about how these engagements work. Like, I put this content out. What does engagement mean? Tell me as a brand new someone that's doing branding.
I am still trying to figure it out, but you really, going back to that personal brand, I mean, everybody has their audience. And that the thing about engagement too on LinkedIn is that, and I've been told this by people who know more than I do, sometimes you have audiences who don't engage. They may be following you, they may be reading your content, they may be learning from you, but they're not going to engage. They're on their phones, they're doing whatever, and they pick up something. I'll be honest, I don't get as much engagement as I'd like to, but
Mm,
you have to. Ken and I were talking about this before the LinkedIn Live. You have to put the content out there. First of all, if you don't have anything for them to engage with, there's no point. But you want to also, if somebody's like right now with these comments, we're trying to respond because if somebody is taking the time to comment, taking the time to engage, you want to do the same for them. You want to extend that same courtesy. You want to create a relationship. We can't be transactional. And I would say that about life in general. I wouldn't know Ken if I didn't take the time to, have a conversation and reach out to him. So
mm,
you really want to build that engagement and pay attention to the people who follow you, follow them. This is a reciprocal relationship. It is a relationship. So, just that's a big part of creating that engagement. Create the
yeah,
content, but you have to build the relationship on top of it.
I agree 100%. And to take that one step further,
Please.
right? The virtual relationships are very good starting points. Like you and I start commenting on each other posts, but it doesn't stop there. I think what really uh, sealed our relationship is we got on a Justin Welsh in the Creator MBA
Mhm.
cohort. Is called 30 for 30. What it means is like you set up a quick networking call, a discovery call with an intention. The session is divided in half. 15 minutes, I hear your problems. I'll give you my free advice. The other 15, you reciprocate. And I get to give credit to Justin. I love that formula.
Yeah.
I have a little link. It doesn't use Calendly, but it's similar to Calendly. People can book, and then it's got a little automation reminder and things like that. I can send them a little questionnaire ahead of time, and during that 30 minutes, we go deep. There's a little pleasantries, maybe we say hello, whatever, but like we go to say, well, what is keeping you up at night? Say, well, my funnel is dry. Well, then we go at it. So I will say that don't just stop at the superficial level, saying good job, whatever, applause, meaningless. It's digital noises. You are
Mm,
wasting bandwidth. Bandwidth is
yeah.
precious.
Yeah, no,
So
people's time is
yeah,
precious. And just if you don't mind my adding on, Ken,
yeah,
about our interaction, it was after you got diagnosed. So we got personal early
mm,
about things, just because we're two human beings having a conversation. It wasn't all business.
yeah,
And I would just say that. I mean, obviously, not everybody wants to talk about everything, and you have to
mm,
judge who's on the other end of that conversation. But remember, there is a human on the other end of that conversation.
yeah,
And I get so much stuff, particularly on LinkedIn, people selling me things. They get my name wrong. They do all sorts of things. You're not going to want to do business with that person. You're not going to want to have a relationship with that person that would involve any kind of job or money or anything. You're doing that with somebody you genuinely trust and like, and
yeah,
that's all I've gotten from you is that reciprocal kind of, how can I
mm,
support you? And that's how we
yeah.
want to show up when we're building that engagement, when we're building those connections.
Yes, yes. And I think that the first thing I remember of rules of engagement that was set up is like no scar stories. Like we won't talk about scar stories because anyway.
Oh, maybe a few, but we did promise a lot of bad jokes, so we've managed that along the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
we stay pretty PG so far. Uh that's good. Yeah.
This is
Great.
one of my
So
favorites coming up, the repurposing. I really love that.
yes.
Yeah.
So um any secrets you would like to share? I mean, like time is such a finite amount. Like
Yeah.
say that, we put something out on LinkedIn. How do we get more mileage? How do we milk it?
Yeah, and you and I were talking about this beforehand because I do have this lovely paid account and I have
Mm,
an account with Descript. So, people see me a lot on LinkedIn, but what they're seeing is chopped up bits of my previous LinkedIn Live. So you're putting in the effort with the main presentation, but then you get so much more content from it because
yeah.
you can just go on to a site where, again, I am technically not great with most things, but this is
Mm,
basically just editing. I do know words. It may not sound like it today, but I do know and love words, and you can just go in and edit it, and then you can use that for additional posts, so you get other
yeah.
connection, and then you have the right prompts, so you get your Claude or ChatGPT content that you edit
Mhm.
down again, and you put that in there, and it's just a cycle, but nothing is a single use for the most part.
Yeah.
Everything can, if it's done well enough, can be repurposed and save you
Mhm.
time, further down the road. And one of the things we didn't talk about is, there's a certain level of satisfaction when you start doing these things. I never thought I could do these things, and now I am. I'm adapting and I'm growing, and if I do say so myself, I'm kind of proud of myself because I didn't think I could do that. If you had asked me 6 months ago, well,
Yeah.
maybe not 6 months ago, I was a pretty early AI adopter, but still, it's like, what's your potential? And what
Mhm.
can you create that you don't even
Mhm.
realize you can create? And that's the thing about AI. I mean, there's a lot that I can say that's negative, and but
Mhm.
I think it just makes everyone the CEO of themselves. And,
Yeah.
you can create a bigger business because of all the potentialities from AI.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about my
No,
little rant there, Ken.
no, you be on the leading edge. I remember you sending me the content. Said LinkedIn is going to be pushing TikTok like short formed videos, and you were one of the first ones to
My blue badge,
on
they
board.
told me early. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a very good use cases. So I
Yeah.
just want to kind of categorize it for some clarity. So say that um, I write a piece of content, written piece of text, and it's published out there on LinkedIn. The repurposing can end up in different destinations and medium too. So
Hmm.
first, you could easily put that into a script, and then you can use a script to then record a video the old way in front of a camera, in front of a cell phone, in front of a GoPro or whatever. If you want to be a little bit more cutting edge, you can use some generative AI stuff to put the stuff and an avatar, which is a replacement, a clone of you, is going to do the lip sync, such as HeyGen,
Hmm.
HEYGEN.com. You can actually have an
I haven't tried it
avatar.
yet. Yeah.
Is amazing. It's a little
Yeah.
pricey, but I think if you are into the training, if you're into making training courses and things like that, you can repurpose text to video without ever getting on camera. So those
Mm.
people who are camera shy or who don't have all the technical equipments to set up a studio, legitimate way to do it. But I just want to kind of think about, just like text to text. So I got this piece of content from LinkedIn. I actually use it to put it on Medium. I also put it on blog posts. I also put it on some other places so that I extended my reach. So when people are going to search for certain terms, for example, San Francisco, AI, assessments, data analytics, I will actually show up because I got LinkedIn, which has really good search engine optimization, a Medium, really high search and optimization and domain ranking. Those are more technical SEO terms.
I got to get on Medium. Okay.
Get a Medium, which is kind of is the OG, is the OG of publishing. And
Yeah.
then you should also probably think about, having your own blog. Right now, the the speed bumps are very low. I mean, you can
Yeah.
probably create a blog, from WordPress.org or something like that, very easily done.
Substack. I have a Substack
Substack,
blog. It's super
Substack,
simple. Yeah. Go on, Ken.
Beehive,
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Beehive is,
ConvertKit.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
all of
lot of
those are
them.
very
And
easy. So yeah,
free to the lowest level until you really become like, massive and have all the followers Ken has. But, when you're kind of down where I am, you can do these things for free. But the other thing is also
yeah,
LinkedIn's newsletter. That has a lot of SEO reach. That really you can, get off the tailwinds of LinkedIn by doing a newsletter on LinkedIn itself.
yeah. And what I love about it is connect, whenever people connect with you, they automatically get recommended the
Yeah.
newsletters. So you get that built-in subscriber base and fandom.
And it goes right out to your complete all your connections the first time out. So I have a fair amount of connections. So, I
Yeah,
went out to, all of them, and they
yeah,
get to decide whether or not they wanna keep it or not. So it really it gives you an audience, a built-in audience, which is super helpful.
mhm, yeah. Great. Well, so kind of want to move along a little bit
Yeah,
about. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
like
Go for
we
it,
we
Ken.
we we
I'm
we, we, we did the repurpose. Like um, we get the mileage,
yeah.
as much as we can from one effort. Right. Again, we're gonna show you a quick. I'm gonna roast my own post. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you how to do it from step one all the way to step 5. So let's quickly talk about sharing. Like I know, like you got 12,000 first degree connections. I mean, you got a
Yeah.
massive reach. Tell us something about what's the best practices to share in order to maximize the reach.
That is a great question. I'm still trying to figure it out, but, you really do wanna pay attention to who your audience is. I mean, Mine has grown and developed over the years as my interests have changed and my life has changed. So not everything is going to be for everyone, but going back to where you started this conversation, Ken, that niching, I mean, and again, I don't, I'm not as good about it as you are. My primary location is LinkedIn. That's just, the people who I want to serve, that's where they are. So that's where I focus. Um, but you want to make sure you're sharing the right kinds of content, the things that people actually
Mm,
have an interest in. Pay attention to, the industries. I'm all in on AI right now because it just seems clear to me where
mm,
things are going, what companies want, and what the people working at these companies, all of you, are going to
mm.
need in order to be successful in these places. Because the reality is, companies are driven by stock prices. And the
Yeah.
thing that they're going to want to do is optimize, how much it costs to do something, because that's going to, impact their earnings call. So we want to be sharing things that matter, that are relevant to folks, and then we want to be sharing it in the places that they live. And for me, that's LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, so Andrea, there's actually a question. I think it would
Oh
be
yeah,
great
sorry.
to
Let's get
pop
this
that
one.
up.
Yeah. Well, it really depends. And I don't know if you want to answer this, Ken, but I think it really depends on what it is that, your goal is. What do you want? What's your expertise, and what can you speak um, most strongly on, most eloquently on? Obviously, I'm not doing that today, but you want to be able to, go with your personal brand is you. So what is your strength? Who are you at your core? And then again, that Venn diagram, what does your audience want to buy? Of
Mhm.
those strengths that you have, because I'm sure there are many. So you're really looking for that overlap as much as possible. But Ken, I'd love to
Yeah.
hear what you think.
No, I love the overlap, but I think of it as a Venn diagram,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Where's the sweet spot? Unfair advantages.
Mm,
What do people call you for? Do
yeah.
people call you asking about, hey, how do I fix a bike? How do I fix this computer? How do I fix this, dish that I mess up royally? I have
Are
no
you speaking
clue.
from experience?
Every day, I'm prohibited from
In the
entering.
kitchen.
No, I'm banned 10 miles
Uh,
radius. So
But that's
unfair
not what
advantage.
I'm gonna call you for. I'm gonna call you to help me with my tech, help me understand AI, help me to just be better at what it is that I want to do. And
Yeah,
so if you want to build a strong person, there's a quote that I love. Somebody told me this a long time ago. Don't become good at things you don't like doing. Don't develop a strong personal brand. It's something you don't want to be
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Again, think about, what Ken just said, but
Mm.
also think about, what you're passionate about. So I guess it's a three circle Venn diagram overlap there.
Yes, absolutely. So the passion piece is important. Why? This is going to be a, I'm going to lie to you. It's going to be a long, drawn out
It's
game,
a
if you want to call that.
lifetime,
It's going to be a lifetime. Again, if you're doing this personal branding, if you do it right, it's going to stick for a long time. It's going to be perpetual. It's going to be your legacy if you do it
Mm,
right. So pick something that you like. If you really want to talk about skateboard, go at it. Don't hold back. Okay. So that is the second overlap. Third one, very important. If you care about making a living, having a livelihood,
yeah,
I would say consider solving problems that people with means. Okay. Um,
yeah,
I have a lot of people reaching out for help and say, well, I'm a startup founder. I'm trying to reach I'm trying to raise, 30,000 is a micro raise. I say, great. What do you have? I say, not much. I say, well, why are we talking? So they need help. They need advice. They need implementation, but they just can't quite afford it. On the contrary, if I go talk to a maybe a bank, they are trying to modernize certain processes with maybe sales and marketing. They try to do a little predictive analytics. They're going to have a little bit more budget to give you, to help you, to get you the resources that you can provide them professionally. So I would say, in the ideal situation, get into the sweet spot, the Venn diagram of those three overlap circles or whatever shapes.
Sounds good. So,
Yeah.
shall we move on? Is it
Yes.
time for the demonstration, or where are we at now?
Yeah. So why don't I go ahead and I'm going to switch out to this different screen. And, hopefully I can make
Very
this
exciting
register.
for me, Ken. I've never done
Um,
this before.
yeah.
Learning so much. That's the other piece of this too. If you can also think of it as an opportunity to learn, because you're not going to get it all right. I mean, believe me, not even close. But you just keep iterating, and you just keep getting better at these things.
Hmm.
And there you go. Let's move you to the screen. It's a process. So enjoy
Okay.
the ride, the long
Yeah.
ride.
Great. So I actually have a gift for everybody that attends. So
Woohoo!
there's going to be a link, and hopefully Jenny will be able to share that with the audience. When you go to this link, you're going to get a checklist. And again, we're not sponsored by LinkedIn or anything like that, but I think one good way for all of us to start this content creation, again, is to try it out, is this thing called LinkedIn collaborative articles. So these topics are created by AI. And this could be, for example, if I'm in the AI space, I say, well, uh, how do you resolve conflicts between business and technical stakeholders? That could be a question. And then you go in about 750 words
Yeah,
or
something like
characters or
that.
something like that,
Yeah.
750 characters. You are able to chime in. And I think it's a very good way because somebody's already giving you the topics. All you have to do is kind of respond. So what I have here again is a
Can
very quick.
oh, if you don't mind my interrupting too, in terms of your
Yeah.
personal brand, you get a badge. And while it's becoming more common, it's still it still highlights on your profile that you are a top voice in a subject area. So, it's also, if somebody's coming to your profile, it has some value.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And then SEO and then all that stuff. Yeah. So oops is LC no space A.
Oh,
So is sandbiz.ai LCA standing for LinkedIn collaborative article. So you'll be able to get the free checklist. Okay. So what I want to show you is um, again, I don't want you guys to go for the batches. It's the icing on the cake. It's not really the end goal, right? The end goal is to give you a topic so you guys can explore. So framework number one, which is find a niche. I actually have a couple of these, and they're all kind of interconnected because I am going for the AI educational consulting space. So that's why they're all interconnected. That's why I'm writing these topics. Okay. And let's go over this really quickly. This is the in-depth framework to help you craft out LinkedIn articles really quickly. Define your niche. We talk about a few times. Impactful content. There's so many people talking about, yeah, good job, cliched, nothing spicy. So boring. Like, come on, get out of the way. Just, I want you to be opinionated. I want you to be spicy. I want you to be spiky.
well,
Okay.
that goes back to the engagement piece too, Ken. I'm sorry to interrupt, but people do
Yeah.
want that. People do want somebody, and I have to admit, I'm not quite as spicy as Ken, but people do want you to have an opinion, and that's what they engage with, whether they like it or not. That's what, gets people to say yes or no, or you're wrong or right. So
Yeah.
spice it up, Ken. Go for it. Mhm.
Make sure that it's still PG.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to, if you're spicy without, overly offensive and off-putting, you should have,
It goes
you should
without
be pretty
saying. Yeah.
memorable and
Yeah.
relevant.
I think
Uh,
that, yeah, that's really the point. You want to be memorable and relevant. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Now, let's talk about this target less crowded post. The first time you go into a topic, say that, I want to talk about personal branding, right? That's the topic that I'm picking to write. You're going to find number of posts, maybe hundreds of posts, and you can see the number of contributions. And I would say that, if you're starting out, start with some posts that don't have hundreds of posts or contribution just yet.
Yeah.
Start with something a couple dozen or maybe a single digit so that your contribution will start become visible instead of getting buried. So again, when we go into the roasting my own post, you can actually see that in action.
But you can see it at the top. And I don't mean to get ahead of you, but if you're one of the early uh, collaborators, you're at the top. So you're number one.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, Andrea is very, very good at the game.
It is a game. I will say it does feel like a game, but we got to play
Yeah.
it. This is just, we want to be seen, because if you're not being seen, and this is something
Mm,
I talk to my clients who have a bit of imposter syndrome about, you have things you want to share, you have things that, a voice that you want people to hear. You have to put it out there. There's
mm.
no hiding. So
Yeah,
go
imposter
ahead, put it
syndrome.
out there, Ken.
That's another big topic we can explore too.
Yeah, yeah,
I think we gotta have a whole series of these LinkedIn
yeah.
events. Yeah. Now a more technical is write the same topic. So if you're doing the personal branding, don't go personal branding today at one
Mhm.
post and then go to business analytics. You're going to be not
Yeah.
focusing and you're not going to get that badge. And again, the badge is icing on the cake, but I think it's a very good milestone anyway. So I would say pick one topic, write about it for 2 or 3 consecutive days, business days, calendar days, depending how you operate. Then I think, within, maybe 72 hours or so, you'll be able to get badged with some luck.
Not necessarily. It depends on the topic area. At least that was my experience. So
Mm,
sometimes you really need to stick with it for even a few weeks. But as Ken said, if you do it consistently, you will get it. It is a very simple equation with LinkedIn. You just keep writing every day until they give you the damn badge, and you will get it. It really, it is not that complicated.
yeah. Yeah. Now, the number 6 is strategic upvoting, which is kind of like little building a fan flare, building an engagement. I would, go into a post, I write it, I contribute it. I will actually upvote my neighbors, just like
Hmm.
being neighborhood, being a good neighbor, and just like supporting each other, and then people will reciprocate. Now, there's also a little bit of a gaming here because only the most upvoted posts will be seen on the right hand side if you go into actually let's go into one right now. So this is one of the posts. You can see when you first land on a post, only the most top 3 will be visible. So that's why I say, well, you want to show some love to your neighbors, but you also maybe want to strategically be push up. Then obviously I picked the best case example where I'm up top, but it's not always the case. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys can't see my screen when I was showing the LinkedIn.
Oh.
Okay, well actually let's go through this really quickly and then we'll switch to a different screen. Okay, so our support, just like have your mafia, have your part, have your support group people say, hey, I'm already pushing this out, I would love for you to kind of check it out. Okay, so that kind of finishes the framework, and I want to show you a little bit of a roasting my own post, if you will. So this is a post that I have in live. Okay, and it incorporates, I'm going to expand this a little bit. Okay, so first, niche, right? AI is the batch that I was going for, so I write about AI, and this is the AI topic. Second, open with a strong juicy hook statement. Stop reading it now, resume after a stroll. This is like a, what is that, like a takeaway, like a FOMO kind of thing.
Can I just make one comment to that too, Ken?
Yeah.
Is that, a lot of people are reading on their phones. So that strong, juicy hook, make it short. Because if not, it goes down to the next line. It becomes harder to read. You want to get something short and juicy, to use Ken's word, so that you get the engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And uh, being a good writer takes years, but being a good formatter, I think it takes about
Mm,
a couple of days. Look at it. I'm just using a lot of paragraph breaks, a lot of negative space, so that's easier
yeah.
on the eyes.
Yeah. Good
psychologically,
point.
it's like I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not attacked by a block of text that is going to scare small and large children.
Keep your kids off LinkedIn. Okay, go on. Go on, Ken. Sorry.
Yeah. And then the third one is this post has 22 contributions, which is about the sweet spot, right? I don't want to go something that's like with hundreds of contributions that my post is going to be
Mm,
buried. So I want to pick something that has got enough traffic. And this was one of the 6 contributions, my contribution of that day. I don't want to bombard writing like 50 of it. I think LinkedIn isn't going to look at it too favorably. So again, just
yeah.
do 5 or 6 on on consecutive days. Uh, Number 5, urging people to stop reading sparks interest. Again, that's the juicy part, right? Excuse me. Most people are very courteous, polite, welcome to my crib, good job. Again, nothing wrong with that, but that is so boring. I'm yawning already. So again, if you want to kind of like, have a bit of a umph, if you will, that's one way to do it. And this reflective of my own personalities too. So that is very much of the Venn diagram.
Yeah, the brand. That's
The
going
brand.
back to, Ken's brand. He's not boring.
Yeah. I don't know about that. And then number 6, being a good neighbor. I upvoted the other people. So, it's kind of like when the water rises, the blow just, rises. Everybody is getting better. Great. And then I also post on Slack channel. There are
Mm.
private cohort channels that say, hey, by the way, I wrote about this AI stuff. I tell people not to read about it. I tell people to take a walk or whatever. And this is how you can get the engagement.
Well, I'm learning stuff today too. This is great, Ken. Thank you.
So we at minute 53. That's right.
No, we're at minute 56 and a half
56.
now. I
Well,
don't know how I'm happy to stay on if you have more to share. Folks want us to stay on. Up to you and to them.
Well, I actually we promised to show behind the scene and things like that, and we naturally got around to it. But I do love to show it, but I do want to see if the audience has any questions and feedback. So we'll pause a second while I get ready for the other screen share.
So does anybody have any burning questions, anything we can, you have a tech guru here on the call with you, and I've I've been around the world, so we're happy to support you however we can. If you have any questions, please just put it in the chat, comment. We would just love to help you however we can. Do you want me to put that on stage, Ken? Is it ready to go or?
Yes, that's ready.
Okay,
Ready to
okay.
go. Okay,
Oh,
great. So now this is behind the scene. I don't know what's gonna happen to LinkedIn if they're gonna like this or not. But this is how my process goes, right? This I'm showing you the content flywheel. This is a morning if I need to make some content. So I will go on to LinkedIn, cruise for a question, and then I will actually I will go to I'm gonna go
so
to
we do have a question about what effect LinkedIn badges. I have to be honest with you, it hasn't had an effect yet. In terms of anybody stopping and saying, because it's hard, not one that I know. So it's really hard to say what effect it has on people going to your profile. But if you think about somebody going to your profile and seeing the badge on it, and if they don't know the process behind it, it looks impressive without question. It really, makes a statement about your knowledge base. So that's been my experience. I don't know if Ken has anything else to share on it.
I'm sorry, I was making
It
some content.
was
Yeah.
somebody just asked whether or not the effect of the LinkedIn badge on your, I don't know, just in general on your end, if there's been any impact. I was saying that it
Yeah.
hasn't had a direct impact, but you just don't know. And that's the thing about a personal brand.
Hmm.
It's really, you're sending out a message and a statement about who you are, what you do, and what you're good at. And when you have a badge that says Ken is an AI, guy and knowledgeable about AI. That's one of the first things they see when they go to your profile is a badge saying,
Mm,
he's a top voice in AI. If they don't have these kinds of sessions, which most people don't go to, I mean, let's be honest, most people on LinkedIn are just on there and they go to your profile and they see that, then it
mhm,
becomes, oh, wow, he's a top voice. It's only those of us who have the behind the scenes knowledge of what this actually means to
mm.
get it. I remember when I first saw it and got it, I didn't quite understand, what was behind it. So it's, again, part of the personal brand.
And I agree with you 100%, Andrea. So the tangibles are kind of TBD.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say don't count on it. Don't hatch your eggs. Use it just like a candy. It's a decoration. But somebody is feeding you all these questions and you can use it to put it in the content flywheel. I will gladly pay for that. So LinkedIn, is a win-win, right? Is UGC, UCG, user created content. LinkedIn is giving you the topics. It's kind of like an editor in chief giving you writing assignments. You can take it, you can spin out some content, you can evolve and repurpose, make a script, make a video, continue to run with it indefinitely. You get the badge, great. It's a little bit of a incentive, but I wouldn't make it as the end game. I think there's a good way to look at it. Now, will LinkedIn ever change how Strangian is going to get badged? I don't know. So that is something we can't really speculate.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to know what LinkedIn's gonna do, but I'd
Yeah.
love to see how this works for you, Ken, if you wanna
Yeah.
go through that.
Great. So a little context here. This is ChatGPT. This is the app on the Mac. You can actually download it. So instead of you going to a browser, you can actually have it as an app. So it's just easy, very quick. And I have also so-called trained and provide some context.
Yeah.
This GPT is a paid subscription. It knows my name. It knows where I live. It knows what my
Mm,
specialties are. It knows what I do for a living because I put that into the custom prompts. So the stuff is very specific. I think like the theme is that, well, whenever I feed something through Claude or Copilot or whatever, it doesn't know who I am. It's just very ambiguous. Now, I'm going to show you it doesn't have to be so. Okay, so I just copy is one of the topics of the LCA, LinkedIn collaborative articles. And if you go into that screen, you can actually see within the big topic, you can actually find one of 5 or 6. So I am not going to share the screen, but I'm just going to go into one of the thing is called Unplug Daily. Okay, so this is basically the writing assignment for this highly credentialed intern, right? That's the term
mm,
that I like to use. And because I like to make it a little controversial, okay, unplug. I would say uh, take a cold plunge every day. That's my hot take. That's my juicy hook. Okay. And I hit it. Okay. You can see if you were to run the exact prompt in your ChatGPT, it's going to have a different voice, going to have a different style. Why? Because this ChatGPT and I have spent enough time that we know each other quite well. And I know that is more or less maybe more than 750 characters. But I don't mind doing that because I can then take this and do what? The human scrutiny, the human harmony. I'm going to take this, do a little bit of copy editing. This is not juicy enough, to be honest. Where's the cold plunge? Where's the goosebumps? Man, I don't feel it. So that's where I'm going to actually turn it up the temperature a little bit. But this is a 40% framework. This is pretty darn good. Say, well, I don't want this other stuff, right? This is where the fine tuning is going to come in. So when you guys are not getting it in the very first try, I would say, think about something like this, right? Ditch all but 3. What is 3? 3 is take a cold plunge. Okay. Expand to 4 bullets. Okay. You can be very polite and punctuation and spelling and all of this stuff, but it doesn't really have to. It's smart enough for you to know. Okay. Now it's diving into just cold plunge instead of doing, all this cliche stuff, relaxation, detox. Who cares about that? I only want to talk about cold plunge. I want to give you a cold shake. And just like this, I'm able to get a pretty decent 4 bullet post. If you want to use it as is, great. Uh, you might not be able to pass AI check because AI, the LinkedIn may be able to detect that it's written by AI. So that's why the human harmony comes in.
You
Do some
can put in a
copy editing.
prompt, Ken. I'm sorry to interrupt. You can put in a
Yeah,
prompt. I mean, it's not going to be completely fail-safe, but you can also tell it to make it pass AI. Can you please revise to pass AI detection, AI software detection to improve upon the post so it's less of a robot response. I mean, it's again not perfect, but always, always, always review this stuff, scrutinize, as Ken said. Yeah.
yeah. So this is kind of like Inception, right? You ask
Mhm.
AI to kind
Yeah.
of check yourself. Then again, your mileage will vary. I don't sell used cars, so I can't guarantee any result. So it is a pretty decent draft. This is exactly a highly credentialed intern will give you. In due time, you will get seasoned and salty and jaded, and then it become one of us.
Speak for yourself.
Well, that takes us 6 minute pass. And thank you so much for
Yeah,
the
thank
extra
you all.
tolerance.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna stop sharing, and so we can see
Good. Okay, excellent.
festive faces.
Woohoo! Thank you all so much for being here with us today. And I would love it if you put some comments in. Ken and I, this is going to be an ongoing relationship, I hope. I'm just going to put that out there to Ken. So if there's topics and things you would want us to discuss that would be helpful for you, just, put it in the comments, DM us, let us know. And certainly I left the link on for Ken's little gifty. And so I would check out his site. And yeah, thank you. We really appreciate your time.
So Andrea, if we need
Yeah,
help, we want coaching from you. How do we find you?
you can find me. Well, my website is leadwellcompany.com. But the easiest way is to just DM me, Andrea J. Miller. Well, you just go to the event and just DM me. I love talking to people. Oh, I'm so glad we got some people saying they've learned a lot today. Very exciting stuff. I'm so glad all of you were here to join us. This was so much fun for us. But yes, reach out to me, reach out to Ken. We, yeah, this is what we love. And particularly when we get to do it with friends, it's even better.
Amazing, Andrea. So I don't know how many bad jokes we accomplished.
I was working on it. We had, made a promise. So it comes kind of naturally.
Well, I had so much fun. I don't know about the rest of the audience. Just like
I
really,
hope
really
so.
appreciative.
Yeah, we really appreciate all of you who were able to stay. And if you weren't, well, hopefully you're watching this as a recording. And again, thank you. And just let us know what you want to hear in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Okay.
Andrea. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye.